Hi and welcome to another budget audio review and upgrades. Today's a review of these Mission M74 speakers that I acquired recently. As you can see, these are floor standing speakers. I will be taking them apart very shortly just to show you what's inside. I know some people are interested in what speakers they use in that, and I know some other people are not interested, but you know, if you want to skip a bit, then obviously go on a bit further, then you'll find a bit more of a review. Now, the reason I've got these is that they come up locally. So I thought I'd shoot down and pick them up, and these are kind of, these, when I looked them up before, because I do have a look to see what I'm buying kind of thing before I go around and get it, and these are kind of like mixed bag where they should be. Are these like an HiFi speaker, or these are a cinema setup speaker where you've got the two main, the centre and the rear? Is it that kind of speaker? These kind of like fell in two categories when I was looking them up, so I thought, well, let's get them home and I can try out both and see what I think, where it fits in the best or whatever. Okay, but before I do that, let me just tell you a bit about these. These are 8 ohms. It's got a 25mm sheer micro fibre tweeter there. Two 160 woven glass cones here. They weigh 9.5 kilos each. Sensitivity is good on these. These are 91 dB. These are quite sensitive, these. They go from 44 Hertz to 20,000 Hertz. And their dimensions is, without the spikes, is 950mm, 200 in width and 325 in depth. Okay, I brought down 5 amps. These are old amps, we'll say amp stroke receivers. These are old units. These are Marantz, Sansu and a Sanyo. These are rated between 15 and 30 watts. Now, I did read a lot of reviews saying that these speakers need driving. Now, just one thing to bear in mind, that these amps are old and going by a lot of people's thoughts and ideas, and my own probably as well, is that a 15 watt amp 40 years ago is probably equivalent to about a 30 watt amp these days or thereabouts. So one of the amps was 30 watts I brought down, so that's probably equivalent to about a 40 or 50 watt amp, something like that today. So a little bit more beef in them amps than probably what you're getting today. And I've noticed it. I've borrowed a couple of amps of other people. What did I have? I had the Audio Cambridge A5, I think, and you realise that whether that was rated, I can't remember if it's 30 or something like that. You have to start turning the volume up quite a bit before something happens, so to speak. So yeah, I've noticed that myself on just a few I've had trying out. Okay, now these have also got a rear port at the back for the bass, and that's a rear port, and that's what this thing does here. This will, if you want to, if it's too much bass, you can push that in and obviously dampen down the bass. Move them around the room in a few different positions. Before I do that, let me just show you what's inside, because I know a lot of people like knowing what's inside. So here it is on the floor. I took the grid off, and to undo the grill completely, there's 8 grommets that are 8 screws. So undo them screws, and as you pull the front plastic grid off, the tweeter's attached. Took the driver out. The driver's quite heavy in these. These are heavy drivers. I had a pair of Coda 3s Kefs recently I've done. The driver's quite light. In here, they're quite heavy. There's the number of the driver. I couldn't really find out a lot of information about this driver. Maybe someone can leave a comment if anyone knows anything about it, because it's always handy for other people that may not have these speakers but may need a driver, then a code, come out of another speaker or something, they're blown, and you can find them somewhere else in another speaker, another maker or whatever, use a similar driver or the same driver. Rather than going paying £80 for a new one or something, you can buy cheap second-hand pair of speakers, 30 or 40 quid, and take the driver out. So it is handy to know which drivers go where, and they may be somewhere else and whatever. But anyway, on eBay I've been looking, these go for about £30 second-hand on eBay, these drivers. There's the tweeter, and then like I say, it's stuck to the, or screwed onto the front grille. I've undone that, and there's the tweeter there, the number there. Tried looking this up as well, not a lot of information about this. This goes between £10 and £20 each on eBay. There's the crossover in the bottom. Didn't bother taking it out, but there you can see it's quite a few bits and pieces on that component wise. And there's the bottom brace. I say the bottom brace is about 2/3 of the way down the speaker, that wooden brace there. And here's the mid brace here, near where I took the speaker out. So it's got 2 braces in the speaker holding it together. There's the spikes. Now I put these on spikes. I did start them off on the floor, but there's the spikes, and they're about an inch off the ground, 1.25 inches off the ground, I should imagine, something like that. They're quite very sturdy spikes. And there's the rear. And as you can see, they're bi-wireable, and there's the bass port at the back where this sponge I've got in my hand can go to dampen the bass. Okay, I moved these around the room, a few different tracks and whatever, and I found the best play. I had them right against the wall and slightly off the wall and all that, and I just found these are quite bassy, these speakers. These are quite bassy. So much so that I had to use this in this room. Like I say, this room's 3.5 meters width, 7 depth, no wallpaper, nothing like that. So obviously the walls are probably bouncing out a bit more bass frequency than maybe some people got walls, or you know, more furniture's in the room or whatever. But I found out wherever I ended up, I brought them out in the end 2 foot away from one wall, 2 foot from the other. So in the corner, there's 2 foot from the corner each side. I put these in as well in the back to dampen the bass. Obviously you're going to lose a bit of the bass extension with that, but you know, that sounded better to me than the bass being too uncontrollable, like too much bass. Obviously you can turn the bass down on your amplifier and whatever to combat that, and if you've got an amplifier with maybe more of a controlled or tighter bass, it's obviously going to help. If you've got a bit of a woody amplifier, it's not going to help at all. It's going to, you know, make matters worse. But anyway, 2 meters in the corner. This is why I put them in the end with the spikes as they were. Got them off the ground as well, free them up, and I found out. Now I did move them a little bit further away from the window in the room, but then obviously the room's getting smaller and smaller because I'm bringing the speakers nearer and nearer to me. So these speakers, I would say, are not going to suit a small room. If you've got a smaller room than me, 3 meters or 3.5 meters by 7, you know, that's about, you know, that's where you want to start off from. I would have said something like that. If you've got a smaller room, then maybe they're going to be a bit too bass overbearing for you. It's going to be too much in your face, because these are, you know, these do fill the room, these speakers, with absolute ease. These really fill the room, actually fill the house. I went upstairs. I didn't have them very high. I went upstairs and it sounded great up there. Like, you know what I mean? First time I've really had a pair of speakers down here, and I've gone upstairs, no volume at all really, and you can hear it all around the house. Okay. Yeah, obviously played quite a few tracks and whatever, and a bit of mucking about with them. Like I say, you know, the main criticism of these speakers probably is the bass. It's a bit too much. I found a nice position was about 3 meters from the speaker in a triangle, 3 meters from each speaker. That's where you kind of lose a bit of the bass, because it dissolves a bit, starts bouncing around a bit, and you know, disappears, kind of fizzles out a little bit. Come back a bit more, it's even better. But 3 meters away, that's fine. You wouldn't want to be too much nearer than that. Maybe 2 meters, and if you get, like say, too near them, it's going to give you a bit of an headache. I think it's going to be, not as you're really bass lover, if you really like the boom boom, and the kind of bass is a bit like, you know, if you took this sponge out at the back, is a bit like the rumble in the bass you're going to get. It's uncontrollable a bit. It's going to be like the bass you're getting from a surround subwoofer when you've got it turned full on, kind of thing. That kind of like rumbling kind of bass, and uncontrolled really, like, you know, I mean, a bit uncontrolled really. So with that in, dampen it down. Get a bit of distance from the walls, get yourself a bit of distance from the speakers as well, and they start to sound nice. So, you know, they really do. They do sound. Now the bass was okay. It was, you know, it was tight. It's just a little bit uncontrolled, but nothing to worry about really. Like, you know what I mean? You know, for what these are, I think these were about 300 quid when they come out. You're getting a lot of speakers back then for £300, and you can pick these up these days between, depending, if you go and pick them up, about 60 quid. If you're buying them like online, they're sent to you, and the postage is going to be quite a bit, probably, you know, 150 quid, 120 quid, something like that, I think, with postage, somewhere around there anyway. But, right, okay, so let's just make sure I've covered all the bass. Yeah. One thing is, I did lose this actually. I kind of pushed it in too far. And if you do that, it's only a bit of sponge, as you can see, or foam, shall I say. So you could get a sponge or something that thick, or you could. I did use a tea towel, not a plain, not a fluffy-ish tea towel, and I actually bunged that in there as well, and it pretty much had the same effect, to be honest with you, just in case you can push that in too far and it falls in, you have to take all this off to get it out, just in case you do. And it's also worth considering, if you've got another, you know, pairs of speakers where you haven't got one of these, and it's got a bass port at the back and they're a bit too bassy for what you haven't got one of these, maybe use a tea towel or something, just push it in there. Obviously you're going to lose that bass extension a bit, you're going to lose some of the bass, but it may just bring it down enough, you know, you just toy around with it, and even put that in sideways, you know, so you just got a, you know, a small amount of air coming out rather than the full amount. Okay, yeah, like I say, use these with amplifiers, 15 watts to 30 watts, and some people say these need driving, but them amplifiers were fine, you know what I mean, these sounded fine with them amplifiers, everything was going nicely. The mids were nice, you know, the mids sounded nice, the vocals, they weren't pushed forward or nothing like that, they sounded like, if anything, a little bit relaxed, but there was, you know, there was fine, the vocals. I found these a relaxing speaker. These are relaxing. These are like a smooth, relaxing, warm kind of sound. You know what I mean? So yeah, these are warm sound. I thought the Marantz amplifier I got, is it the MR215? I think it is. That had quite a bit of like brightness to it. So that brought out even more brightness. These ain't really, you know, some people say these are a bright speaker. didn't really find them bright. You know, those where they should be, kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's where they, you know, as you know, kind of run of the mill kind of brightness on the speaker. Where the Gal 210s or whatever got upstairs are quite a bright speaker. These were just kind of like average kind of brightness. So, you know, some reviews I've read where they were bright. I don't think they're bright, but you know, a bright amplifier just brought out a little bit more of them as well. But the Sansui sounded nice. They all sounded nice. You know, it was a relaxing, go with it kind of sound. We could just forget about them kind of thing. You just, you know, go with the moment, so to speak. I found the treble. The treble was nice. It was very detailed. The treble was nice, detailed. Just a bit shrill in places, a bit fizzy in places as well. A little bit fizzy. But other than that, you can't grumble. You know what I mean? For what you're going to pay for them, you really can't grumble. You know, these are, you know, good speakers to get for the money. Like, you know what I mean? Not, like I say, not for small rooms and 3 meters away. Yes, that pretty much covers it. Now, as connecting it up to your surround sound, or you know, you're going to plug the telly in it and listen to DVDs or whatever, films or whatever, Blu-rays, etc. These are going to be ideal. These are a great speaker for both. They really are. You know, these are going to sound nice. You can probably take that. You won't need a subwoofer. You could take that out the back, and you're going to get the rumble and thump, you know, as you would with a subwoofer and one of these like surround systems. So yeah, they fit in for both. They're kind of like, these are great. I can see why some people are saying they're for one and some people are saying they're for the other, because really they're for both. They really fit in well, where some speakers won't. These do. These fit in for both surroundings. So if you've got a setup where you've got your HiFi there and you've got your TV there and you're just using one set of speakers, well, these are brilliant. These are fantastic. They really are. You're not, like I say, you're not going to pay fortunes for them. But if you're just using them for HiFi as well, they're still a good speaker. They really, you know, they really are a good speaker still for HiFi. Like I say, for the money you're going to pay, like I say, you'll be paying about 100 quid thereabouts for them. And for that money, you're getting a nice sounding speaker, quite a nice looking speaker, a solidly built speaker. Also, just bear in mind when you put these on the stands, don't have them wobbling. I've done this on purpose, so they're wobbling about like that. Make sure these are level. So when you go to push them, they're not going to go anywhere. You don't, you know, they're bound, you know, the sound and that. You don't let them flipping about, because obviously when the sound comes, they're going to start vibrating and moving. So make sure you've got the stands. You know, little common mistake. Some people just put, oh, that's it. Make sure, so when you give it a push, it shouldn't move like this one. Like so I've made one a little bit shorter than the other, just to say you don't want any wobbling about. You want it rock solid on the floor, so to speak. Okay, so I hope that's been a help if you may be looking for these. Obviously not everyone running around looking for Mission M74 speakers, but if you are, you know, you're not going to go wrong for the price, that's for certain. You know, they're a nice speaker, and a speaker I'm going to use myself now, I think, for quite a while. Okay, next time I'll think something else and plonk it up on the channel. Do subscribe if you see anything of interest, and I hope there is some bits and pieces that you like. Until the next video, I'll see you all soon.